This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.
So I was dating a young lady, and she used to tell me all the time, like, my pastor wouldn't approve me. I'd be like, whatever, your pastor. All pastors approve of me. Mm-hmm. And so, literally, I was, that's where I met you on the football field. Mm-hmm. I'm football through and through, so I'm most comfortable on the football field. So on September 8th, 2012, I'm literally on the football field, and I was there with my daughter and my sons, and we were watching my youngest son scrimmage at Cleveland Heights, right? And I bet your son was there at the time, too. So I come up into the stands over in Strongsville.
Okay.
And the stands in Strongsville, they're metal.
Right.
And they have like 2 lightning rods, and then they have 2 flagpoles. Okay. And it's, so I come in at the lowest point, and I'm using an umbrella that was my ex-wife's umbrella. Damn it, my ex-wife's umbrella. So I'm using an umbrella, and I get struck by lightning.
Really?
Literally. One bolt of lightning.
Was people in the stand?
Everybody was there. So you were at height, so they were. So one bolt of lightning goes like this. It's hilarious today. It wasn't that day. So one bolt of lightning goes across like that. One comes down. Oh. And so, wow. And so if you ever see Travis, you remember Travis?
Right.
You see his mom, she was there, all of them.
Wow.
So heights travel.
Right, exactly.
When the team travels, so it was hundreds of people
Travis
there.
was there, Anthony definitely was there.
Yeah.
I wonder why I didn't remember this. Jeez.
You wasn't there that day.
I wasn't there. I hadn't been there.
So it was like, one bolt of lightning comes down and strikes me and my daughter.
Whoa.
And so I'm just sitting up, and I walked away, and they're like, you want us to call? So I didn't even realize I was struck because the umbrella, my ex-wife's umbrella,
flew out your head.
Yes. And I kicked. And my daughter yells, Daddy, right?
Wow.
And so I'm just sitting there, I'm just standing there, and I see everybody in the stands because I'm at the lowest point.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, lightning strikes the highest point.
Right.
I'm at the lowest point. And so everybody in the stands is sitting there looking at me like this.
Wow.
And I'm just standing there looking because I didn't know what happened.
This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow. This is a place where I bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and I do it every Sunday right here on this channel. But when I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations. I've been doing it around this state for over 25 years, and I met a bunch of amazing people along the way, and I want to make your next move a strategic move. And this show gives me an opportunity to do just that. So, if this is a place that you think you're interested in hearing any of those type of things, if it's something you think you might want to tune in and listen to, then all I need you to do, I need you to hit the subscribe button. I need you to leave a comment and hit the notification bell as well. Now, today, I don't know why it took me so hard to get that out, but we're going to fix that. But today, I have a gentleman in our program who's going to be here today to talk to us a little bit. He's been in the city of Cleveland for a while. We done did some business together for a while, and I consider him a rising star in business in this city. He has a company by the name of CEO 360 right here in Cleveland, and he's none other than Mr. Jerry Primm. So everybody, welcome Jerry Primm to our program today. The crowd loves you. We're really happy you came out today. Audience is always happy to have you in the house. So I want you to settle down and get warm. All right, crowd, let him down, let him go. Oh, Jerry, I love you. God damn, my goodness. You just get the biggest applause ever on the show, man. Jesus. Yeah, good Lord. All right. So, Jerry Primm.
All right.
Mr. Jerry Primm, I want you to tell everybody about your company a little bit and where you're from. So in tradition of our program, and I had a rough start getting started. I don't know, I got so tongue-tied on trying to get this thing out this morning, but I got it. But so we're going to settle down. And Jerry, I want you to tell everybody where you come from and a little bit about yourself.
I come from East 108th in St. Clair, born and bred.
You are Glenville.
10-5.
Yeah, 10-5.
Lincoln West.
All right, Lincoln West.
Lincoln West.
So where you grew up in Glenville?
On 108th. I hung out mostly down there on 99th, 91st, but I lived on 108th.
108th?
Yeah.
That's where you grew up most of your life, or you?
Well, I lived a portion of my life in western Pennsylvania. And that's where I think I still got a little bit of the accent. But in actually Hermitage, Pennsylvania, which is the nicer area around Sharon, PA, just right over the border, literally over the border. I can see the Ohio border from my backyard.
Okay.
But, you know, I had an awesome life. I lived part of my life in the city of Cleveland, my mother moved us there because I guess she thought we'd get a better education there, where we ended up integrating the neighborhood, which was interesting to say the least, in the late 70s, early 80s. And then reconnected with my father when I turned 14 in 1987. And I moved back to Cleveland. My sister didn't. I moved back to Cleveland because I knew I needed the discipline from my father. And, you know, been in Cleveland ever since.
So is you and your sister?
Nah, I have literally 11 siblings.
Really?
Blood siblings, not like I grew up on the same street with you. Like
it was 11 of y'all.
It's 12 of us.
12 of you guys.
12 of us, yeah.
And all of y'all in the house at one time? How did that work out,
that's
man?
physically impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How did y'all work that out?
So
and what was the most in the house at one time?
And on a given day, maybe 7.
All right.
Give or take 7.
Okay.
You know, so Papa was a Rolling Stone. Those was the times back then, and I think it was really hereditary because my grandfather, my great grandfather, my uncle was pretty competent.
Oh, okay. So your mom don't have 11 kids?
No.
Oh,
my dad.
It was unheard of for families back then where mom would have 11 kids.
Yeah, my grandmother had
dad had 11 kids.
But
all right,
my grandparents, I don't know how many my grandfather had, but my father had, he had 10. Yeah, 10 by 6 different women. Okay. And all of us knew each other, you know.
Really?
Or not would know each other. Yeah, we all get along, you know.
All in the same city.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I had an interesting experience, right? So it's I'm laughing about it right now, but I remember like one of my sisters, she passed, God rest her soul, and so I'm talking to my mother and I'm lamenting, and God rest my mama's soul. So I'm talking to my mother and I'm lamenting because she's, you know, my sister just died that day, right? So she's like, oh my God, I'm so sad. I feel so sorry for you. I feel so hurt. You know, she was like, you know, I feel like it's one of my children. And she was like, how old was she? I was like, she was 4 months younger than me. My mother paused and she just went in on my dad.
Wow.
And so I was like, she was 4 months younger than me. Oh, did she? Oh my God. Everything. Why did I say that?
Why
so
you said that?
It went from her consoling me from losing my to
why you here?
Yeah. Attack on my dad. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, trust me, man. We all done had our share of that back then. Those old men were something else, man. Trust me on that one. I had plenty of guests come on this show who that's why we did that Brother Can We Talk series.
Right.
Because it was just like, brothers, we all screwed up.
Right, man. Pretty much. I'm like, Lord, you know how many years of therapy it took me to get through that? Because you got to think about it. I'm the oldest son.
Right.
So being the oldest son, you know, my younger siblings are like 11 and 13 years younger than me, right? Wow. So me being the oldest son, that meant that I was you know, cooking for them. And I can remember having a conversation with my old man about, look, you eating too much after school. You know, your brothers and sisters got to have stuff at the end of the week to eat. You know, those kind of conversations. So, yeah, you know, it takes some time. You know, that's why I showed up. I couldn't stay the whole time. I think I had some meetings. But I appreciated the fact that you had an event where we could have those kind of conversations. Exactly. I would have liked to see it be more interactive with the crowd. But, I just appreciate the fact that we had an event where we talked about mental health of black men. Right. I was like, praise God. Thank you, Jesus. I could not show. You know what I mean? Right, exactly. I had so much going on that day, but I could not show.
Oh, no, it was rough, man. And the community back then in that neighborhood, because, man, you know, I grew up in that same community, and your era was really deep into that crack cocaine
gangs,
all of that gangs and stuff back then. So let's talk a little bit about the community growing up before they bust our asses over there to Lincoln West.
Oh man, you know, well for me, I was bust. Like when I moved back from Pennsylvania. Okay. I moved back in 9th grade. Okay. I literally lived a block and a half away from, I grew up on 108th. Right. Glenville is on 110th.
Right, exactly.
I lived a block and a half away from Glenville. Exactly. But I had to get up an extra hour early to walk all the way down here to catch the bus to go an hour on the west side. So, I wasn't a big fan of busing, still am not, but I wouldn't trade it. I love the experiences, but, growing up in that neighborhood during that time was an interesting period of time because I was the nerd.
Really?
I was the Muslim nerd at the time.
So you grew up Muslim?
Yeah, I grew up in the Nation of Islam, absolutely.
Okay.
So, but, I still go, I see Brother Minister Roland constantly. I go get my pies and I go sit down and build with him in the FOI. Once you go through that process, you don't just jump in the Nation of Islam like sign a piece of paper. There's a process that you got to go through. So,
So what made you convert
out
of Islam into Christianity? Because I know you were at one point considering was a minister.
I am a minister.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You're a minister and that
absolutely.
stuff. So.
Well, I think that, and here's the thing that I think that most people don't get, right? You can't account for the Holy Spirit. So in the nation, if you can't see it, taste it, touch it, feel it, smell it, it doesn't exist. They don't believe in life after death, no spook spirits or ghosts. So I was dating a young lady, and she used to tell me all the time, like, my pastor wouldn't approve me. I'd be like, whatever, you're a pastor. All pastors approve of me. And so literally I was, and that's where I met you on the football field. I'm football through and through, so I'm most comfortable on the football field. So on September 8th, 2012, I'm literally on the football field, and I was there with my daughter and my sons, and we were watching my youngest son scrimmage at Cleveland Heights, right? And I bet your son was there at the time too. So I come up into the stands over in Strongsville. Okay. And the stands in Strongsville, they're metal. Right. And they have like 2 lightning rods, and then they have 2 flagpoles. Okay. And so I come in at the lowest point, and I'm using an umbrella that was my ex-wife's umbrella. Damn it, my ex-wife's umbrella. So I'm using an umbrella, and I get struck by lightning. Really? Literally. One bolt of lightning.
Was people in the stand?
Everybody was there. So you were at height, so they were. So one bolt of lightning goes like this. It's hilarious today. It wasn't that day. So one bolt of lightning goes across like that. One comes down. Oh. And so, wow. And so if you ever see Travis, you remember Travis? Right. You see his mom, she was there, all of them. Wow. So heights travel. Right, exactly. When the team traveled, so it was hundreds of people
Travis
there.
Was there. Anthony definitely was there.
Yeah.
I wonder why I didn't remember this. Jeez.
You wasn't there that day.
I wasn't there. I hadn't been there.
So it was like, one bolt of lightning comes down and strikes me and my daughter.
Whoa.
And so I'm just sitting up, and I walked away, and they're like, you want us to call? So I didn't even realize I was struck because the umbrella, my ex-wife's umbrella,
flew out your head.
Yes. And I kicked. And my daughter yells, Daddy, right? Wow. And so I'm just sitting there, I'm just standing there, and I see everybody in the stands because I'm at the lowest point. Right. Now, keep in mind, lightning strikes the highest point. Right. I'm at the lowest point. And so everybody in the stands was sitting there looking at me like this. Wow. And I'm just standing there looking because I didn't know what happened. I didn't see the lightning. I didn't see any of it. And I was like, and they were all, like, their mouths were open. And I was like, did I just get struck by lightning? And they're like, yeah. You want us to call the ambulance? I'm like, nah, I feel okay. Right? Wow. And then, so that was on September 8th, 2012. So, that was the attention getter. Really? Yeah. So just walk with me. Okay. So when I go, I kept going at it with my then girlfriend, and I was like, well, I'm going to go to her church, meet her pastor, get him to rubber stamp me because I thought I was madly in love with her at the time, and I probably was. And so I go to her church with her mother, and her pastor is on vacation. Ooh. So I'm just like, oh, man, you know me, Kenny. I got one of these personalities that if I think you're wasting my time, I'll get up and walk out. But for whatever reason, I didn't meet my objective was to meet her pastor. Was a minister there. That's the reason why I listen to any minister. If my pastor let him in the pulpit, I'm listening. So there was a minister there, and he preached for long periods of time. And so he says, before he starts preaching, he says, open up to Psalm 142. And I open up to Psalm 142, and I read the 7 verses. Then I start crying. Now, you know me, Kitty. I ain't crying for nothing.
Right.
And at the time, I'm banging girlfriend. My kids is in Ivy League schools. I'm doing well. I'm #1 in sales on the whole continent. I'm doing good. I got money in my pocket. Why am I crying? Right? So everything that this minister was teaching on is what was, every time he hit a point, is what was going on in my head. And I cried the entire sermon. And at the end of the sermon, he says, "Are there any visitors?" So I raised my hand. All they were doing, like the ushers keep handing me tissues the whole day, the whole sermon, right? And when he says, "All right, visitors," I think I was the only visitor that day. He says, "Stand up and tell your name and who invited you." So I stood up to say, "My name is Jerry Primm, and I was invited by Edie Jones." And instead of saying that, and you know, I'm pretty articulate. You give me a microphone, I can go. And instead of saying that, I start speaking in tongues.
Really?
Serious as a heart attack. I've never done it since. But I think the reason why, because it happened all in like 45 days, me getting struck by lightning. I think the reason why the Lord struck me with lightning was because he wanted me to know if I didn't do the things that he told me to do, that he can come give me any, like, just think about it. I coached football for 16 years. I'm most comfortable on the football field. My oldest son still plays pro football to this day. And I'm most comfortable on the football field. But if he come get me anytime he wants to, and I can't stop it. So he let me know that if I don't do what he tells me to do, that he'll come get me. So, you know, I have a very healthy fear. So, no. I think that the reason why, I really believe that the reason why I was struck by lightning was because there are things that I would do later in life that it'd be a lot easier for me not to fight those battles. But if I was sent in to like fight those battles, I couldn't quit.
Right.
When other people might quit or other people might think it's insurmountable, you know, I could take the easy way, but I have a very healthy fear of the Lord. So when you see me out here doing some stuff, my pastor taught me, I never make a major decision without talking to the Lord first, period. I just don't.
So let's go back a little bit because we kind of jumped through that and took us into this Christianity and Muslim conversation, which is a good one. And I think it ties to something we were talking about earlier when we talked about growing up in that community and the people that we grew up with. And you mentioned the fact that you grew up with some of the members of Bone Thugs and Harmony. Yeah. And some of the, just like we're saying, some of the, and it's a faith thing and everything else. It's like you say, you were kind of the nerd and growing up in that regards and into your faith, which helped you make good decisions because, in that, the community back then, it was really hard, man. I mean, it was people, either I made this joke before in the 80s, 86, 87, 85, nothing but crackheads and dope dealers came out of Lincoln West. I mean, it was a lot of them, man. A lot of them. And if they wasn't, their parents was, their sisters, their uncles. It was a terrible time. So what was it like growing up with those guys?
With Bone?
Yeah.
Man, back then it was like 1 billion of them. It wasn't just the 5.
Okay.
They're like Bone Enterprise. I remember every other day. Like I remember.
I totally forgot about that. It was Bone Enterprise. That's correct.
Yeah. So it was cool. I mean, they weren't like back then. We didn't know they were special. I knew they were special when they could come up. Like I was telling you before we were on camera that I could come up with a good rhyme like once every 3 weeks.
Right.
They did it every single day, and I was like, man, I need to go to college,
right?
Because I ain't gonna be like them.
Exactly.
So, but it was cool. They were just cool guys that you just. That you just went to high school with, it wasn't like, ooh, they're special, Matter of fact, probably K Chill was more special because he had an album out while we were in high school.
Okay.
And shout out to Chris, but he had an album out while we were in high school, so he was probably in our high school, and I think he ended up transferring to Glenville or something. But he was probably more special in the neighborhood. But
give us your best Bone Thugs and Harmony story that you can share on camera. I heard some of your off-camera stories.
Right. Let's see. It was just that I guess my best Bone Thugs and Harmony, Steve Lazy, he was just so focused. Like Steve lived with his girlfriend, Flesh lived with James Norton, but like their life circumstances with their family, with their mother, forced them not to be in the same space at the same time. And so when you dealt with them, Stan was like working at KFC, and he was hyper focused. Like, and I can remember just thinking, like, just watching everything about them, because they were like, this is my way out.
Right.
When I would see Steve, I would see Stan, and those were the two that I'm closest to. They were just like, this is my way out. So Stan, from my perception, looking at the outside in, Stan worked at KFC to help pay for like studio time and the things that they did. But they were just like hyper focused in on their success. So when I remember when Thuggish Ruggish Bone came out, I wasn't surprised at all, you know. And that's like, you know, that's one of the thought patterns. And then the other thing I think about is everybody on St. Clair, when they made it, they took the whole St. Clair Ken. Matter of fact, they wrote the first version of Crossroads about my bus driver's son, you know, and, you know, so just watching somebody that you touched every single day, that you sat there and talked to every single day, that you watched like seriously struggle. And I don't even know that I've ever seen an interview where Steve and Stan told all of the stories about them growing up. I used to watch Steve just be dead sleep in class because he had to hustle. Right. And when he got to school, he would be dead sleep. Like they had an unbelievable drive to me. Right. If that makes any kind of sense.
No, I understand. Yeah. So Jerry, let's talk a little bit about your business and what you're doing now. I do know that you're a Central State alumni.
For God, for Central, for State.
I will let you make sure I let you get that off and everything before we move on. But also now I want to talk about what you're doing now with your business. Now let's talk a little bit about what it is you do now. I know you were in sales, you're in sales, man. So tell the people what Jerry Primm does.
Really, if you look at what we do business process management. So there are a few components that every single organization has. That's marketing, that's sales, that's operation, that's customer service, which leads right back to marketing. And so I'm trained in BPM by IBM. And so
what is BPM?
Business process management.
And what is that? I pride my show on not trying to act like we know everything and assuming that everybody who watch our show know everything. So break it down to us.
So really, I try to keep it as simple as possible. So first of all, you know, I eat, sleep, and drink data. But the simplest way I can explain it is every organization, whether you're for-profit or non-profit, has to do some sort of marketing. Then they have to do some sort of sales because you have to feed the animal. You have to feed the institution. Then you have to do the operations. That's the actual work. Then you have to do the customer service. So if I were to give an analogy, marketing would be what do you need to put on the hook to sell? To if I would use fishing as an analogy. So what do you need to put on the hook to get your customers or get your clients? And so that's the bait that you put on the hook. Sales is how do you get the fish out of the water and into the boat. Operations is how do you clean that fish and cook that fish.
Correct.
And customer service is how do you clean up after yourself so somebody wants to come back and do it again.
Making it sustainable.
All right. So we go into organizations and we look at everything as processes as opposed to getting emotional into the personalities.
So let me ask you then, from your experience, what you think is the biggest mistakes that most of the people who call for your services are making in their business, that they would need to call on someone like you?
That first and foremost, they probably have I could say that I have really great sauce. And I'm back on DuPont, and I want to put a wing place there, as opposed to saying, all right, where is the area that where's the population, looking at all of the data associated with it. So where's the population that buys good sauce, good wings, or how much traffic comes through? Where's a good location for this business? So when you look at McDonald's doesn't just go into some place. They run a gajillion different.
They do research.
Yeah, they run a gajillion different research. When you look at one of the reasons why Kim's is so successful is because she's right there on 152nd, right in the heart of where we want to go get some. That's the reason why we tolerate that 40 minutes it takes for me to get my 6 wings. You know, because it's a good location. But if I were on 105th and DuPont, not so much. It's not enough not enough traffic coming through, not enough. There's just a lot of factors. So people don't look at all of the data that makes a decision or that helps them make decisions.
So you say you help them with their messaging, sound like?
Yeah, we definitely. Yeah.
Social media.
Social media we're aggressive with. We're extremely aggressive with.
And what do you think is some tips you can give to some of the small business guys who are listening along the lines of marketing and social media?
With social media I really believe that you should hire somebody who does it well. Like, I'm not going to go fix my transmission. So it's difficult for me to sell.
But if you can't afford,
but then I'm gonna give you a couple. I'm gonna give you some tips. But my first tip is to hire somebody who could do it, and it's really not that expensive, and you really can't afford not to, because they cut down the path to profitability. But the first thing is get on YouTube, watch videos, and actually take the risk. Once you watch some videos, you have to recognize, or once you watch some stuff, you have to recognize you got to spend some money. I see you do marketing ads, right? Some of your ads hit, some of them don't, right? You find something that gets traction that hits, ride it. The traction is eventually going to leave, and then when it leaves, you got to know how to tweak it to get better traction doing something different.
So let's stay on that point then.
Go ahead.
So you're, and I agree. I think one of the best things you just said today was that. And I'm not discounting nothing else you said, so don't take it that way. What I'm saying, I totally 100% agree with what you're saying with that. I think that the first thing is to get up yourself and jump off into the pool and do it. There's no real right. There's a right and wrong to everything. But when it's your own business,
man, look,
you don't have sometimes you have no choice, and sometimes if you make a mistake, you're only making a mistake on your own. So it's like if you're working for somebody and you make a mistake, you can lose your job. Now they say you can make a mistake in business and lose your business, but
more often than not, when has anybody ever done anything successful where they didn't make mistakes and they didn't be bold?
That's correct.
Period. The only way you're going to make it. Name one other successful person or organization that didn't invest in themselves and be bold.
And I'm going to tell you, there's only one thing. Because there is one thing you can invest in, and I guess you could call it, to some people, they call themselves being bold, and probably can come out on top. And that's the lottery. I'm sorry. You go in there and pay that $1, chance you win, you become a millionaire overnight. And it's like, what did I do? But other than that, man, it ain't nothing else in this world.
I beg to differ with even that one, man. I got clients who own casinos, literally.
Right.
And man, it's impossible for you to win. The probability is so stacked.
Oh no, I'm saying that's the only.
But outside of that,
if you're one of the very few who pull that off, that's the only one that you can sit around a bunch of millionaires in life who all sit around and they'll tell their stories about how life was rough and everything. They get to you, Jerry, they say, well, Jerry, how did you make your millions? And you'd be like, mega millions.
No, it won't be mega millions. Hey, man, look, when you sit around them jokers, you sit in the room with some people who like literally own casinos in Vegas, and you sitting up there like, and they explain to you how it's impossible for you to get out of that city with your money. And
well, no, it's people, it's professional gamblers, Jerry.
But they're there. They're the bait. That's the marketing.
Right.
That's the bait for you and I.
Right.
They allow them in. And matter of fact, they put them on Instagram and
Right, exactly.
TV,
Let you know
so
they're
they
there.
can get
Right.
you to come there.
Right.
But the probability of you being one of them, name 100 of them that actually make
no.
money.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no,
out of the thousands of people that fly in and out every day,
Yeah.
I'm in Vegas like every 6 weeks.
Yeah, no.
So I sit back and I watch these jokers. I be like, I'm going straight to my hotel room.
No, I'm not a gambler. I do a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I spend my money probably on a lot of frivolous things, but
Right.
I'm not going to sit up there and roll no dice and give it to them that
But even
way.
even if you look at what you did right here, right? That's marketing, right?
Right.
I'm looking at your hat.
Right.
That's marketing.
Exactly.
Hey, look, I'm looking at you with your little sexy. You got on a sexy black outfit when I walked in the building, man.
Exactly.
That's marketing, right?
Exactly.
And so, like, that's what I mean by investing in yourself. You didn't just get on
Right.
Microsoft Word.
Right.
And I'm proud of you. Like,
Right.
I sit back and I'm like, okay, Kenny trying. And I
Right.
see you tweaking. I watch your ads.
Right.
And I see you tweaking the ads and
Right.
some stuff hit.
Right.
And I can look at it and I can tell if it's hidden. Okay,
Right.
that didn't hit. All right.
Right.
And then I see you making the adjustments. But you didn't just sit up here and like, woe is me. My internet didn't. Hold on, here go Kenny with it. He got the sexy Run DMC hookup.
Oh,
On.
he's crazy. But no, I'm with you. And I think in business that's where you have to be. I think and with everything, but you have to take the willing to invest in yourself
Yeah.
and go out and get the information. And right now, I like to believe it's much easier than it's ever been.
I think that digital technology leveled the playing field
Exactly.
for black and brown people, because back in the day, we couldn't have fathomed dealing with artificial intelligence. 2 years ago, we pivoted hard into AI and automation, and we're doing pretty good with it right now. But 10 years ago, we couldn't have even spelled AI,
Correct.
let alone been able to use it to help us with marketing or help us with.
Well, I was just talking to someone about this the other day, and one of the things we talked about was in the fact that when I very first started my very first business, I was in my early 20s then.
Right.
Hell, and it tripped you out, but I remember putting ads in the yellow pages, the
Right.
white pages, and the only ads we ran were what was going to be ran in the Sunday paper, and trying to position your name with a whatever,
Right.
so that you can be at the top of the
it,
listing
yeah.
of everything, and taking out big ads in the newspaper to get people to buy your product and stuff back then. And from that, my business went from doing that to, as I evolved in business and doing a few things, the last, I would say 15 years, I would say last 12 years, I'll give it a good 12 years. A lot of that work was word of mouth. All right, so then you go through a stage in business where you build up a reputation where people are saying, hey, call Ken. You want to do a campaign? Call Ken when you want to do that. So you build up that. And then the word of mouth campaign got stymied when the pandemic hit, and it started shutting people down, and you couldn't communicate, and everybody was like, how are we going to work? And then everybody started getting on Zoom and all this other stuff and being able to work. So it is a pivot. Things are changing. And to your point where you said that you see marketing and stuff, me as a business said, you know what? It's time for me to evolve as a business. Am I going to continue to just do this, or do you want to take maybe community outreach and engagement to another level where you're having these conversations with people that allow you to still be a person that's engaged in the community, to do what you want to do and evolve your business? And I think that's kind of where you was going.
Yeah, sort of, absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me, when I look at digital technology, I heard Kanye say one time that you can at least take your phone and make a viral. You could take your cell phone and do all kind of things. And I admire people who have the gumption to go ahead and try.
Right.
And digital technology allows us to put something on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and at no cost, or the cost of whatever our cell phone bill is a month. You can make $1 from doing that. And so we have to not despise small beginnings and learn that it's okay to crawl before you walk. Then when you get a little bit of money, invest in some sponsored ads or invest in somebody who can do the marketing pieces for you. Then when you get a little bit more money, invest in somebody who can do a whole video setup for you and do some video ads. But you can't keep all the money. You know, you have to invest in yourself. And those people who do bold things get bold results. Those people who don't do bold things work for people who do bold things, if that makes any sense to you.
No, I totally agree with you. Any other advice you want to give to a small businessman getting started out there?
Do it. Just do it. And don't try to figure it out right now.
And don't try to figure out
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect.
So what is the solutions? Yeah, I know you talked about that, and I do know you do have events that you have there at Tech Hive, I believe it is, and you have people come in. So give us a little bit about what the solutions is all about.
All right, so the solution is we could talk about the problem with black people is, and then you could fill in the blank. And we do that often. And so back in 2019, I got tired of hearing people talk about the problem with black people is, and I said, all right, we're going to work on the solution, right? And so I designed it to be reminiscent of the 21st Congressional District Caucus. Now, we can't meet, I don't have the time to meet every week, but we can meet once a month, and we meet once every second Sunday to come into there and have a black think tank. And in that we address one issue per month. Last month, it was black business and why it's crucial. So we'll have a conversation. There are no big I's, there are no little U's. I might moderate it, Andrew, Alice, and somebody else might moderate it, but everybody gets to speak. We get a limit on the time that you can speak, 2 minutes, right? But when we at the last 45 minutes, and it only lasts an hour and 30. Last 45 minutes, you're not allowed to talk about any problems. You can only talk about solutions. And we put all the solutions on the board. We type them up. We send them out to everybody. And then people take bits and pieces of what they can own and what they want to do. And they work towards creating solutions. So we've been able to do some interesting things, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty. You're also working with the ministerial group you're a part of. What's that group with you and Reverend Goldstein is a part of that, right?
No, that's not a ministerial group. It's GPAC.
GPAC.
You talk about
well,
GPAC?
What is GPAC?
Well, GPAC started because we recognized a few years ago that there were challenges. If you take a hard partisan stance on an issue, or if a system told you could or you couldn't do something, that everybody would just fall suit. But then black people would be, left holding the bag. So, and at that time, the challenge was we recognized that after Judge for Yourself gave Andrea Nelson Moore, Judge Andrea Nelson Moore, zeros across the board. So you gave her a 0 in community engagement. So when we looked, we saw that historically, they were at that time, and I'm cool with Judge for Yourself now. At that time, we saw that they always rated black judicial candidates lower. So when we saw that, and I literally went to every ministerial alliance, I went to every black organization, asked for help from NAACP, UPM, you name it, I went there. And everybody was like, you're right, Jerry, but there's nothing we could do. And so I was just like, all right, I'm not going to create a ministerial alliance, and we are not going to create a ministerial alliance, but we have to be able to do something that we can respond and say, this is what's in the best interest of the black community. And so we created GPAC.
And how many members in GPAC?
I don't know. All depends on what month you catch us. And so it's usually less than 25, but they're 25 influential individuals.
So, Jerry, as we do with all our programs, man, I'm going to give you that camera there, get a chance to make sure you let people know about what's happening out there with the solutions, how they can get involved, what's going on with your next event, and how they can reach you. Take your time, say whatever you like.
All right. Hey, look, don't just talk about good trouble. Get in some good trouble, like Rep. John Lewis said. Go ahead, push the envelope, be bold. Get into some good trouble.
All right, everybody, that's Jerry Primm. He's on our show. He came in to talk to us, and I hope you got something out of that. And like he said, I'm going to leave in the description all the links of where you can reach out to him about what he's doing with his business, how you can get involved with the solutions, and take advantage of what he got going on at the business to help you scale up your business. So, again, we'll see you next Sunday. Strategic Moves with Ken Dow. Peace.